What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video on Dark Knight's Metal. Now, in this video, we'll be starting off the story of pretty much Bats Out of Hell, a 4-part crossover that is between Dark Knight's Metal number 3 and number 4. Now, in this story, we pretty much see different Justice League members go against the evil Batman. Now, as you remember, there's 7 evil Batman that pretty much came into our universe when Batman was transported to the Dark Multiverse and Barbados came out. Because what the Core Vowels did was they exposed Batman to all these different metals. Promethium, Dionysium, Electrum, and all different ones. There's 5 of them, Batmanium and Nymphmel. But what happened through this was he was in transport, Barbados came out, and he took over the world. And what happened next was Superman was left behind and he wanted to go save Batman. And we pick up in this issue with Superman and Flash pretty much racing. And Flash is going to push Superman through a portal into the Dark Multiverse to save Batman. And we'll see how all this chaos pretty much unfolds. But guys, if you end up liking the video, give a big thumbs up on YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next part of Bats Out of Hell. Yeah guys, enough this intro, let's get to Bats Out of Hell, part 1. So guys, diving into this issue, we got a dope cover right here, and this is actually the variant cover. This is the main cover. The main cover is actually shows like Flash fighting Red Death and like racing each other, where this one shows like Flash pretty much falling into the Dark Multiverse as Red Death is just looking at him, but still pretty cool cover. But guys, as we move in, we first see, like I said, Flash and Superman racing each other. And it says Bats Out of Hell, part 1. It's a cool splash page to open up the book. And we see Flash saying, my name is Barry Allen, I'm the Flash. He's like, Superman and I have raced before, but this time I want him to win. When Flash and Superman actually race, many times they're pretty much tied and stuff, but we know that Flash pretty much wins. He would beat Superman, but this time he needs Superman to outrace him so he can push him to the Dark Multiverse. And Flash explains that it's been 7 days since pretty much Challenger's Mountain has erupted out of the Dark Multiverse and has came in Gotham City. And that's where Barbados is. That's where Batman Who Laughs is and where all the chaos is going down. But it's pretty much like that central point. And what he's saying is that pretty much it was like a shot of a starting gun to like the end of the world. All this chaos is unfolding. And he says that the Demon Barbados came through, he had all these evil Batman come in, and they're evil versions of Bruce and evil versions of the Justice League. So like, for example, like the Murder Machine, which is pretty much an evil version of Batman, but also an evil version of Cyborg. Now, what we see is he's like, nothing seems real. I run, but we lose. And it shows an image of Batman getting sucked into the Dark Multiverse. He's like, I keep going, it hurts. And it shows Central City. It's pretty much been taken over by Red Death. And he keeps going, eventually gets Superman through the portal, and he created this pretty much like a recap of issue number 3 where he's like, oh, all the different heroes are assembling a group trying to figure out answers while I pretty much make this plan. And actually at the same time as this is happening, Wonder Woman, Contra Saunders, and Dr. Fate are going to like the Rock of Eternity to get Nymphmel. Green Lantern and Plastic Man and Miss Terrific are going to like space to Vanguard Prime, which is like the home of Hawkman, to get Nymphmel. And then we got Aquaman and Deathstroke going to Atlantis to get Nymphmel, because Nymphmel is like the main thing that can beat these Dark Knights. But Flash gets him through, and he's happy. He's like, alright, we did it. And then we have Steel come by, and he's like, do you really think this will work? Do you think Superman can save Batman? And Flash is like, this is some of the worst things we encounter, nightmares, all sorts of chaos. But he's like, how can you see Superman fly and not be inspired? He's like, we're gonna win. We're gonna push past this. And he's talking to Steel, and Steel, he looks at the Cosmic Tuning Fork, because where they're at is the Fortress of Solitude, alright? They're running around racing the Fortress of Solitude, and Steel's like, I gotta study this, like, Cosmic Tuning Fork soon, because it's very interesting. And Flash's like, no, you don't have to study that, I know about it, because what the Cosmic Tuning Fork does is, it's pretty much like a portal transportation between different universes. So if you go through it, you can make it to the Dark Multiverse, you can make it to a whole nother universe, and that's what Superman did. Well, actually, Flash and Superman did. And what we see is Flash then pretty much signals to Justice League, see how they're doing, and Wonder Woman, Dr. Fate, and Contra Saunders are like, we're not doing so good, we're not finding no Nymphmel, we're actually running into like the 7 evil deadly sins. And then we got Green Lantern and Miss Terrific, and they're going through space, and they're like, oh, we're in space and we're out into the unknown. We don't know what we're gonna find. We may run into like danger. Then we have Aquaman and Deathstroke, and Aquaman's like, man, I'm paired up with Deathstroke, pretty much a villain. This isn't working out well, but I'm gonna risk Atlantis in order to save the world. Now Flash says, okay, I carried out my thing. I got Superman through. Me and Steel did ours. So how can we help? But that's when Cyborg pretty much signals in, and he says, Flash, you guys need to go. They're coming after you. He's like, they are coming for you now. And that's when pretty much Wonder Woman, all these different groups, we see Dr. Fate, Wonder Woman Conscious Andrew, she's like pulled through like a boom tube, which guys, like a boom tube, it's what's used to like transport you at other places. That's what actually happens to like Apocalypse. So where Darkseid is, you use boom tubes to like transport it to Earth. But in this case, Barbados and Boundary Glass is using it to like suck all these different heroes to another realm. Now, Wonder Woman gets sucked through this. Dr. Fate and Contra Saunders is left behind to get Nithmel, while Green Lantern is sucked through this portal, but then Miss Terrific is left behind, and then Deathstroke's left behind, and Aquaman is sucked through it. So they're pretty much, the evil Batman are not going after this like subpart heroes. They're just going after the main Justice League members. And what we see next is Flash is like, guys, talk to me, where are you at? And they're all gone, guys, they're gone. And then Flash looks up, he's like, oh, is Cyborg coming here? And it turns out it's Devastator and Murder Machine. And then Steel says, he's like, can I admit something? I never liked Batman. And Flash is like, no, you just need to get to know him. And you're about to have 2 chances to do that. And Murder Machine comes through, he's like, I got the Man of Steel. He's pretty much going to go after Steel. And we have Devastator, he's like, okay, he's yours. I already killed a Man of Steel. And we actually saw it in Devastator's origin story where he killed Superman, so that's a big deal. But what we see next is Steel tries to fight Murder Machine, but the Murder Machine pretty much disables him, beats him up. Flash tries to stop pretty much the Devastator, but Devastator's super fast. He's as fast as Superman. And Devastator then goes to pretty much attack the Cosmic Tuning Fork, breaks it. Like, guys, check this out. He destroys the Cosmic Tuning Fork. His whole goal is to get the Cosmic Tuning Fork back to Barbados, but he's going to rebuild it first. And Boundary Glass actually kind of doubted him. He's like, hey, you haven't did your job yet. It's taking you too long. Devastator's like, don't doubt me. I'll carry out my job. And what we see next is Flash is like pretty much frightened. He's like, pretty much, he's afraid that now Batman and Superman are stuck in the dark multiverse because that Cosmic Tuning Fork was the only way they'd get back. And Devastator just destroyed it. And Murder Machine's like, oh, the Flash, it's Barry. Hey, you want to join us? And Steel says, run, Barry, run, leave. I'll deal with this myself. And Flash is like, okay, I'll go. And Murder Machine's like, on my Earth, you're pretty much good at dying. That's all you're worth. The Flash is only good at dying. And Flash is like, yeah, well, I have a bad habit, racing death and winning. And he runs through a portal, getting away, runs super fast, but it's actually into a trap. And as he goes through, he makes it into the Central City. And he says, he's like, damn, they taunted me into a trap, and I don't know where I'm going. He's in Central City. Maybe just ran into danger. And he sees Iris and Wally. All these people are like old and stuff. They're getting the life force sucked out of them because Red Death took over like Central City and had all these bats fly around. And what these bats do is pretty much suck the life force from you and you become older, and that's not good. But Flash comes to Iris and Wally. He's like, oh, I'm gonna help you guys. I'll save you. But then he falls to the ground, and it's like pretty much a bat cave. But as he's falling, it says, in the end, all roads lead to darkness. And you see all these different images, and pretty much Flash is going through all this different trauma. And you see images of pretty much a future Flash with Iris, they're married. You see another image of Reverse Flash and like the Rogues. You see Godspeed versus Flash. You see pretty much Flash like Anti-Monitor, which you're like, that hasn't happened yet in like the DC universe. But it would be pretty dope if like Flash became as powerful as the Anti-Monitor. Like that'd be really interesting. What we see next is like Flash, and below him is like Wally and like the 2 Wallys, Wally West, like the ginger one, like with the red hair, and then we have the other Wally, which is like the black version. You have both of them on the floor and they're dead. Flash is just like in pain. So all these different nightmares that Flash has, he's like pretty much going through them in like a matter of seconds. Now, the next part, we see him arrive in like darkness, and he finally signals the different like Justice League members again. So pretty much Flash is stuck in a Batcave, Aquaman's stuck in a Batcave. They're like separate. Green Lantern is stuck, Wonder Woman's stuck, and Cyborg says, he's like, I'm trying to keep the signal between us so we can talk, but what Barbados is planning to do is terrible, and then he cuts off. Now all the different Justice League members pretty much can't hear each other, but they hear a voice pretty much above. And that voice, Flash thinks it's Bruce at first, because it says everything's gonna be okay. He's like, look toward the light. And Flash is like, is it you, Bruce? Are you stuck down here with us? It's like, oh, maybe some hope, because Batman would get us out of here. But it's the Batman who laughs who's speaking. And you see Flash in like he's in this one Batcave that has all sand and stuff. It's like designed to pretty much go against him. Same as Green Lantern, he's stuck in a Batcave that's full of like different like evil constructs. And then there's a Batcave where Aquaman's stuck at, where it's stuck with all these different evil creatures. And then we have Wonder Woman stuck in like a Batcave that has different bats. All these Batcaves are designed to pretty much kill these different like Justice League members. And Batman says, he's like, I'm not the Bruce you're looking for, but I'm still Bruce Wayne, and I'm very smart. He's like, imagine 7 different Batmans, 7 different Bruce Waynes butting heads and coming up with a plan to kill you all. We'll be unstoppable. And he says that on my world, there was actually a story where I came up with ways to defeat all the Justice League members, and when they found out, they pretty much were mad at me. They didn't trust me. It was a very dark time for the League. But I set up well, so now I have all these plans and I can use them to kill you guys. And guys, the story that it's referencing is actually the Tower of Babel storyline. And in that storyline, Batman pretty much had all these plans to defeat Justice League members if they ever like went mad. Like Superman went evil, so Batman would have the tools to beat him. But what happened was Ra's al Ghul got these plans and used them against the Justice League, and Batman had to pretty much own up to this. And that last says, I hope you appreciate our work, because this is where you're gonna die. And we see Red Death fighting Flash, hitting him in the face. We see Dawnbreaker coming at Green Lantern. We see the drowning, Batman the Drowned going against Aquaman. Wonder Woman fight out the Merciless. And Flash ends this issue off with saying, I can hear Bruce's voice. But for the first time, it's not telling me to go faster. It's telling me that there's nowhere left to run. Because at the beginning of this issue, he was saying that Batman always told him to run. Run to the end of time, always save lives, keep running. But here, the Batman last is saying, this is the end of the road, you're gonna die. And then it says, next time in Justice League number 32, Bats Out of Hell, Part 2, and we'll see all the Justice League members going against the evil Batman. It's gonna be pretty epic, guys, but this issue is more setup. So with the explaining part of this video out of the way, let's get to my review. Bats Out of Hell, Part 1. Now guys, this issue was pretty quick. There wasn't a lot in it. Like, all you saw really was, okay, a quick recap of what's been going on in Dark Knight's Metal. Then you saw where all the Justice League members were at. Then they got transported to Batcaves. They're stuck in there. Flash went through some trauma, made it there, and now they're stuck in like these Batcaves and fight out the different evil Batman, and they're meant to die there. Batman Last pretty much set this all up for them to die. And that's it. That's all that happened. So not a lot. It's more just like setup, quick setup. But still, it's a pretty great issue. And the main reason because of that, like why I think it's a great issue, is because Howard Porter. Like his art in this issue is good. Like it looks really good, especially like the adult page, splash page, where you see all the different like Justice League members. And like Barry, like he's like monologue by like Joshua Williams. Like his writing is really good, guys. Especially the part that like, oh, Batman always told me to keep running, don't stop, like run, Barry, run. But at the end, pretty much Batman Last is telling Zach opposite. He's telling him that this is the end. There's nowhere left to run. You're gonna die here. And it really sells that like tone of like darkness. And this may be like the Justice League's final battle against all these evil Batman. But honestly, this isn't like this. But obviously, they beat the Dark Knights, all the evil Batman later on in the story. But for now, this is a pretty cool crossover and like an interlude storyline between like issue number 3 and issue number 4. And that's why I'm gonna give this first part an 8 out of 10. I recommend it. It's not like the greatest. Like it's not really like super awesome or whatever. Like yeah, you see some racing, some battles, but it really starts to get good in part 2, which I'll cover next. So as we continue this Bats Out of Hell storyline, we're going to see all the different Justice League members fight off like the evil versions of Batman from the Dark Multiverse. But before diving into their fights, we first got this dope cover, and this cover looks pretty cool. You see Batman the Merciless fight off Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman is actually using her like shield to block off his like big sword, and it looks pretty cool. In the background, you see Aquaman fighting off Batman the Drowned. It's been pretty cool fights in this issue, so yeah, let's dive in. But guys, as we start off, we pretty much see all the different Justice League members in Batcaves, and you see Flash is in a Batcave that's like full of sand, and it's beneath Central City. Then we got Aquaman, which is in like this one Batcave, which is all water. It's beneath Amnesty Bay, and it's all these different evil creatures in there. Then we got Wonder Woman, which is pretty much under the foundation of Argus headquarters in Washington, D.C. Because guys, as you know, in the Batman Merciless like origin story issue, you saw Batman Merciless pretty much attack the military, all these different corporations like DEO, the Task Force X, and the military, of course. But he took over them, and now he rules it, so he has access to all these different places, and he used one of them beneath the headquarters as a Batcave to kill Wonder Woman. But guys, we also have pretty much beneath Coast City, the city without fear. There's pretty much a dark place that Green Lantern is stuck in. He's pretty much stuck in darkness. Like, there's nothing to see except for Batman the Dawnbreaker, who's coming soon to kill him. But guys, we first pick up with Flash, and he's trying to see if there's any Justice League members that he hears. He's like, anybody pick up, but he can't hear anybody. And he's running through this like sand place, and the Batman the Red Death is actually chasing him. And Batman the Red Death then like disappears, and Flash is being stuck in the sand. He's like, what'd you do? And Batman the Red Death is like, well, this sand is actually made out of nanotech that I can use to control it. So Batman the Red Death has controlled the whole Batcave, the sand, so he pretty much controls what Flash is running on. So that's pretty bad for Flash. But Flash is like, okay, cute trick, but where are you? And then Batman Red Death reveals that the sand that Flash is standing on is actually quicksand. And Flash starts like pretty much sinking deep into this quicksand. He can't run as fast. And he actually sees like a Flash statue pretty much far away that has like the head off. So it's a really bad place. But then out of nowhere, pretty much comes the Flashmobile. And Batman Red Death comes out of it because Flash is pretty much asking, okay, what are you gonna do to beat me? Because obviously, this stuff, I can get out of this quicksand, I can beat you. And Batman Red Death's like, well, you're pretty much like the Flash from my Earth, who pretty much what he did, he would not talk, he would just go so fast, rush through all these cases. We never had time to pretty much bond. But time is now to slow down. We have all the time in the world to talk, Barry, and then I can kill you. That's pretty much what Batman the Red Death is doing. And he has this Flashmobile. It looks dope. Like guys, this Flashmobile, it looks cool, alright? It has all spikes and stuff. It's all made out right. Comes in like with a boom. And you see him, and he's like, alright, I'm gonna chase you with this. And Flash is like, do you really think that one car can outrace me? Like, I've outraced many cars before. And pretty much Batman Red Death is like, I'm a billionaire, Barry, you know that. So why wouldn't I just bring multiple? And you see motorcycles, all these different vehicles that are now powered by the Speed Force going after Flash. And they start going on a race. Like, actually, all these different vehicles and Batman Red Death then race Flash, and Flash is just getting like outrun by them. But yeah, before we shift to the next part, what is happening in Batman Red Death, this fight of pretty much talking to Barry, is the Barry inside Bruce's mind is saying, no, don't do this. Because as we know, Batman Red Death is actually a Batman-Flash hybrid, and Barry is still in his mind, so he keeps trying to tell him, don't do this, change back to a hero, don't be a villain. But obviously he's not listening, and Batman Red Death would rather like kill another Barry Allen, our Barry Allen, than pretty much become a hero again. But guys, we then shift to Aquaman, and he's stuck in his Batcave, and he's pretty much looking around, and he's like, come out, show yourself. He's like, in this water, it's all poison water, all these like good creatures, healthy creatures are dying, all these evil creatures coming out, and then we see Batman the Drowned come out, this big creature, and this creature looks horrifying, right? And she says, it's like, you know nothing, Aquaman, you and your kind took everyone I loved. And this Batman the Drowned saying that, and it's actually true. Like, Batman the Drowned, her origin story, like, pretty much her like love, Sylvester, her love interest, died by metahumans, but also like the Atlanteans caused like chaos in her city. So she's trying to take this out on Aquaman, even though he didn't do this. That was a whole separate Aquaman on a different universe in the Dark Multiverse. And Aquaman's like, you think you'd take revenge on me even though I didn't do anything? And he tries to use pretty much his telekinetic powers, his water telekinetic powers, against Batman the Drowned, but it's not working. And she's like, you won't, she's like, do you not recognize this creature? Pretty much the creature she's riding on. Aquaman's like, who is this? And she's like, do you not recognize your love? And turns out it's Mara. This creature is Mara, guys. So back in like the Batman the Drowned origin issue, you see Aquaman and Mera fight off Batman the Drowned, and they lose. Aquaman barely gets away with Dr. Fate, but Mera gets sucked into Batman the Drowned's dark water, her pretty much army, and she's pretty much evil now. It's been turned into this horrifying creature. And guys, Aquaman, he's shocked. Like, he's horrified. He's like, man, the love of my life has now been changed into a horrifying creature, and I'm fighting it off. So Aquaman has to kill his creature, which is Mera. So that's pretty dark, guys, but still pretty good. And we continue, and then we see Wonder Woman fight out Batman the Merciless, but they're talking. And Batman the Merciless is like, do you enjoy this cave? Like, I've always wanted a home together. Because back on Batman the Merciless' universe, pretty much Batman and Wonder Woman were actually a couple. They're going to get married, maybe have kids, they're going to have like a house, but that never happened because they had a war with Ares. Wonder Woman died, and then Batman pretty much took up the Ares helmet and became a villain. But here, he's saying, he's like, never again will the gods choose our destinies. He's saying that we have all these weapons in this Batcave that we can use. And Wonder Woman's like, says the man who's wearing the helmet of Ares. Like, you're saying you don't want to have your destiny pretty much be told by gods, but you're wearing the helmet of God. So they're talking, and Wonder Woman's like, shut up, let's just fight. And they start fighting, right? And Wonder Woman's actually getting like the upper hand of Batman the Merciless. But then he starts beating her because she's like, who taught you these moves? And Batman the Merciless is like, you taught me these moves. You taught me all these different moves by the Amazons. And she's like, I would never do that. And she goes to attack him again, but he pretty much hits her with his axe, hits her down, she falls to the ground. She tries to use her sword, but it's too much. Batman the Merciless is too powerful. And he says that, I remember after I pretty much beat Ares, killed you, I went after the Amazons and killed all of them, and now I use them as like my army. And you see all these zombie Amazons come out of it like a door, and they're pretty creepy, guys. Like, imagine being in Wonder Woman's like position, and she's standing there, right? And you have Batman the Merciless, pretty powerful, and you're struggling to fight against him. And then you have all your Amazon sisters come out of this door, and there's zombies about to kill you. Like, that's pretty frightening. But guys, as you continue, then we see Cyborg pretty much narrating this, because what's been happening this whole time is Cyborg started out this issue talking about, oh, he used to be a football player, and actually, let's go back to that page. So he used to be a football player, and you have a team, and he got all these scholarships, but he would always be driven not by himself. Like, he's a great player, but the people who would actually drive his team is everyone. So all the people on his team meant something to him, because he couldn't win a game without somebody else. Like, somebody on his team, everyone on his team is very important, which is pretty much the same thing with Justice League. If you take out one member of the team, then they all lose. And he's talking about, through this issue, about each character, how Flash is pretty much like the speed of the team. Then we got Aquaman, who's pretty much like the anger of the team, who keeps fighting to the very end. Then we got Wonder Woman, who's pretty much like the spirited warrior, who pretty much will brawl anytime when she keeps going. And then the very last member, who is Green Lantern, he goes with his gut. He doesn't stop, even in the darkest time. He keeps like going through. And we see, let me get to the page, guys. We pretty much see next is he's saying pretty much the oath. He's like, in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. And he says, let those who worship evil's might beware my power. And before he can say Green Lantern's might, pretty much he's cut off by Batman the Dawnbreaker. He's like, don't even bother. He's like, your oath is worthless down here in my cave. And you see Batman the Dawnbreaker go to attack Green Lantern with his power, and Green Lantern is pretty much helpless. And you see all these different heroes. Flash is getting beat by Batman the Red Death. You see Aquaman pretty much getting sucked in by pretty much the evil Mera and Batman the Drowned. And then you see Wonder Woman pretty much getting attacked by all her zombie sisters from Amazon. You see Batman Lash pretty much above Cyborg pretty much laughing. And Cyborg reveals that, yeah, we could have won this, but the evil Batman actually had like a secret weapon. And that secret weapon is me. And it turns out you see Cyborg, and he's all hooked up to all this stuff, and Batman Lash is using him to like charge up something, using him to pretty much destroy the multiverse, which is pretty big. So Cyborg is the evil Batman's secret weapon, even though he doesn't want himself to be. So that's how we end off this issue. Pretty much the Justice League are losing, and Cyborg is hooked up to this thing. He doesn't know what to do. And next issue, we're pretty much going to see what Cyborg is being used for, what the Batman Blast is using him to like pretty much energized. And then we'll actually see the Batman the Dawnbreaker face off against Hal Jordan. It's going to be a pretty epic fight that you don't want to miss. With the explained part of this video out of the way, let's get to my review of Battle of Hell Part 2. So guys, this issue was pretty good. We got to see Flash vs. Batman Red Death. I did like that with like the Flashmobile, like that looked dope. Like seeing like the spikes and stuff, and then he has different vehicles and stuff. It was really cool. Also, I did like the Aquaman and versus the Batman the Drowned. Not really the fight, but just that Mara is now like a frightening creature. Like that was actually a big twist. Like I thought she was just added to dark water, not changed to like a horrifying creature. And then the Wonder Woman versus the Batman Merciless, the whole twist about like a zombie Amazon army, that was pretty cool. And then we barely got to see anything of Hal Jordan versus Batman the Dawnbreaker, but we'll see that in the next part. But just the narration of Cyborg throughout this issue is very well done. I like the whole thing how he compares the Justice League to pretty much his football team. That's actually really cool, and turns out that he's the secret weapon that the evil Batman are using is a good twist to end off the issue. Now, the art in this issue is good. Liam Sharp just delivers on every level. Like, he's one of my favorite artists because it's just so clean, and it just shows like it really sells like that dark atmosphere because this whole issue is pretty dark. Alright, you see the Justice League losing, you see their worst nightmares, so you put Liam Sharp in there, and it really like develops this whole issue, and it sells the idea of like a dark atmosphere. Like I said, like this very well done art, and just his best work. Like if you guys have read the whole Batman, Wonder Woman, Brave and the Bold series, that's like good work by him. He's also done some good work with like Batman. Like most of his like great work is where Liam Sharp does like Batman stories, and you should really check out those. The writing by Robert Venditti is actually pretty good too. Like I said, the Cyborg like monologue is good. Now it's not a lot to it. Like we'll see more of his writing in part 4 of this crossover, but for now this is pretty good. Now some flaws with this issue. The whole like writing for Batman Red Death, like his font is very bad. Alright, like it was hard to read. When I first read this issue, where you read like Batman the Red Death's like his lines, it's all like fizzled and so it has like a white and red texture, and it's very hard to read. Like I really like squint in my eyes and I'm like, man, I'm not reading this, alright? I'll just have somebody else read it to me. Like you go on audio or something like that, or you look at like a YouTube video, it's just very hard to read, and that's not good. Like I get them trying to add some like, oh, this goes with the Batman the Red Death character, but if you're gonna do that, make it at least kinda easy to read. Like, you don't want it to be so hard to read that it's like, alright, I'll just skip this page. Now, another flaw is the fights go by way too quickly, alright? And next issue, yeah, we see the full Green Lantern Dawnbreaker fight, that's good. But for this, we only see like different twists throughout the issue. We don't actually see them fight. Like, we end off Batman the Red Death and Flash's section of the book with them about to fight, not actually them fighting. Same with Aquaman and Batman the Dawnbreaker, we see them fight just a little bit, and then Wonder Woman and Batman Merciless, they do fight, that was good, so I'm not going to put that in the flaws section, that was actually pretty cool. But I'd like to see Batman the Red Death actually fight, go on, full on fight, and see that, because that'd be really dope. But guys, overall, I'm going to give this issue an 8.3 out of 10. It was better than the first part, but there is some stuff they still have to like work out to make this a better crossover. So guys, diving into this part of the story, we're pretty much going to see Green Lantern versus Batman the Dawnbreaker in the whole Batcave. And it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to have like that balance of darkness and light throughout the issue. First off, we got this dope cover right here. Looks pretty cool. It's drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. It has Green Lantern. He looks cool. He's like flying. We got Batman the Dawnbreaker. He's like unleashing like evil constructs. And guys, this is part 3 of Battle of Hell, and what we see first is we see this image of different worlds in the multiverse, or different universes. And it's somebody's monologue in this, which is pretty much Hal Jordan, and he's saying 52 universes in the multiverse. So there's 52, and there's pretty much, he's like, I couldn't even tell how many plants there are. There's like hundreds of plants, maybe even thousands of plants in this entire multiverse. And then he's like, trillions of citizens, trillions of cities, but the best city of them all is Coast City. And that's where Green Lantern actually lives. Like, that's the place he protects. It's a city without fear. And we see pretty much back then, it's like a flashback. It shows Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, John Stewart with Hal Jordan, and they're pretty much talking, and they're in Coast City. Well, Hal Jordan's not there. They're actually talking about, hey, where is Hal Jordan? And Hal Jordan is going to Coast City. He's outside of it. He's flying these 2 kids, in a way like babysitting them, and he's flying them to Coast City and introduces them to the sign. He's like, hey guys, this is a place, Coast City, the city without fear, I protect this place. every civilian here, they pretty much, even the darkest times, they keep going. They don't get afraid. And that's like the big thing that like how things like this city's so great. Because people like Gotham, when something bad happens, they get afraid, they get frightened, and they leave. Or Metropolis, yeah, you have Superman, they have like that big hope. But with Coast City, it's like nobody, they all don't get afraid. They believe in Hal Jordan the Green Lantern, and they believe that they can pretty much strive to save the city. And Green Lantern even says this here. He's like, most heroes, like the civilians, are inspired by them. But for me, the citizens of Coast City inspire me to be a better hero. So it's a pretty nice scene. But then we see during Dark Knight's Metal that Coast City is like shrouded in darkness by Batman the Dawnbreaker. And you see like the sign of Coast City, it's all ripped and stuff, and it has scratches. You see Mogo in the sky, pretty much Green Lantern's world, and you see just total darkness. And guys, this issue, like other than Battle Hell Part 3, is titled None More Black, so that's an interesting title. And we have writer Robert Venditti, and he's actually the writer right now, currently right now, the time that I'm posting this video, he's the writer at Justice League, which he's doing a good job. And he's a pretty cool writer, but he's really good at Green Lantern, so it suits him to write this issue. And like I said, we got Ethan Van Sciver, who's one of the best Green Lantern artists of all time. But guys, as we continue, we see Batman the Dawnbreaker just punch Green Lantern in the head, pretty much uppercuts him, and you see it's like deep underground, under Coast City, it's in a bat cave. Green Lantern's punched, and Batman the Dawnbreaker's like, welcome home, Hal. And you see Green Lantern like looking around, and you hear all these voices. You hear the voice of Parallax, which is not just Parallax, but it's the 0-year Hal Jordan Parallax when pretty much Coast City was destroyed, right? But then Hal Jordan, like, he got afraid, got sucked in by the fear. Parallax took over, pretty much possessed him, and he became this big villain. And he was the big villain of the DC event 0 Year, where all the Justice League, all these heroes had to fight him off. It's actually a big event. It's not one of the best DC events. Like, it's not the worst, but it's not really up there with like the best, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, or like Infinite Crisis, or Dark Knight's Metal. But here, we see, like, Parallax talking to him. We see Atrocitus, which, guys, he's the Red Lantern. He's all about rage. He's one of my favorite Green Lantern villains. He's just right behind Sinestro. He's really cool. We also have, Sinestro, obviously. Sinestro, though, he's cool, right? Because he says, I trained you better than this, Jordan. And we've actually seen, like, the New 52 comic book in the beginning of it with Jeff Johns. Sinestro is a Green Lantern and not like a Yellow Lantern. So that was a cool thing when he teamed up with Hal and then he became evil. It was a great storyline and one of my favorite in like the Green Lantern mythology. But yeah, guys, we also see like pretty much the One Lantern, the Orange Lantern, which I always forget his name. It starts with L. It's hard to pronounce, but he pretty much, he's all about greed and so he's one of Hal Jordan's villains. And then we also have Hector Heyman. He's the guy with like the big brain and stuff. He goes against Hal a lot. All these villains show up in Robert Venditti's Hal Jordan the Green Lantern Corps run, which I totally recommend, guys. But Hal, hearing all this, you think you get afraid, right? Like, oh, those are all my villains. My greatest villains pretty much talking to me, and then I have this new villain that's the evil Batman. But turns out, Hal, he just starts laughing. He's like, huh, okay. And Batman Dawnbreaker's like, something amuses you? And Hal's like, oh, little Bruce. He just starts telling him. He's like, yeah, you're pretty funny. And Batman Dawnbreaker's like, how so? He's getting mad, guys. And Hal's like, you think I fear you? He's like, you think I fear you? Like, really? And he's like, you bring me here, you show me Coast City's attack, you show me all this stuff, you like pretty much shrouded in darkness. He's like, I know the civilians won't get afraid, they'll push through this like I am. And he says, he's like, my Batman is smarter. He wouldn't just hide like you're doing right now. Like Batman Dawnbreaker is hiding in the shadows, going to attack Green Lantern. And Hal's like, my Batman wouldn't hide in the shadows, he'd fight. He'd be actually a hero, he'd like serve justice. And Batman Dawnbreaker's like, your Batman's lost. He's lost in the dark multiverse with Barbados. He thought he understood the shadows, but I am the shadow. He's like, I am Batman the Dawnbreaker. And pretty much Batman Dawnbreaker is pretty much like boasting a little bit. He's like, yeah, you can't beat me. And Hal's like, okay, sure. And he goes to pretty much blast Batman the Dawnbreaker with his light, but the light is absorbed by Batman the Dawnbreaker's ring. And Hal's like, what? Your ring can absorb light. Is that it? He's like, okay, you have a unique ability. And he's like, I'll give some credit where it's due. But then he's like, ring, strobe. And that's when what happens is his ring starts like pretty much vibrating and it becomes very bright. And Batman the Dawnbreaker goes to like pretty much attack him. And Hal's like, alright, let's dance, let's fight. and each time Battling Dawnbreaker just misses. And he's pretty much saying what he did on his world and his actual origin. I killed Guy Gardner, I killed Kyle Rayner, I killed Jon Stewart, I killed the Guardians. And he's like, they weren't enough to stop me from avenging my parents' murder. What makes you think you will? And he's just like trying to like taunt Hal, but Hal's actually taunting him. Because each time Battling Dawnbreaker goes to attack him with his ring, Hal's just like, oh, you missed. And he's like, oh, you get distracted. He's just pretty much like being sarcastic and taunting him a little bit. And guys, the thing that he's describing Battling Dawnbreaker about killing all the Guardians, killing the Green Lantern Corps, that happened in his origin issue where his parents died, he got the ring, and took out all Batman's rogues gallery, killed Commissioner Gordon, killed the Green Lantern Corps, the city fell, and they joined Battling Last. That's actually a pretty cool origin, guys, that I think you should check out. I have a video for it right here. But guys, we then see, like, Battling Dawnbreaker asks the question, he's like, what makes you think that you're different from everyone else, Hal? And Hal's like, because, Bruce, you never could fly with me. And we see Hal Jordan show up with, like, this big construct that he's been building that's like a football player, and he just goes, punches the Dawnbreaker in the face, hits the Dawnbreaker to the ground. It's a pretty dope image right here. Like, look at that, guys. That looks cool, alright? That's a cool image by Ethan Van Sciver. But guys, we continue, and we see just Hal just punch him. He's like, this is for Guy. Hits him. He's like, and Kyle. Hits him for John. Just starts hitting the Dawnbreaker so many times for all the people he killed. And each time it goes like pitch black, then opens up to light. Pitch black, then opens up to light. And you see different images when it opens back to light. You see the Orange Lantern, which he's actually like on a coin that has like the Dawnbreaker's face on it. And then you see Sinestro, pretty much skeleton, he's dead. You see Hector Heyman, he's dead. But then Battling Dawnbreaker disappears midway fight. And pretty much Hal's like, oh, hi Yankee, where you at? He's like, you stepped up to the mic with your emo crap, and he's like, I came to rock. And it's actually a pretty cool line here, and he's like, the show isn't over yet, come on, come out of the shadows. See the Battling Dawnbreaker just watching him, ready to strike. And that's when he's like, ring and strobe, and he just starts like coming super bright, like Hal Jordan comes super bright. And he's like, here's a lesson, Dawnbreaker. He's like, my ring, nobody gave it to me. Like most lanterns, they have their ring given to them. Not like they built their own ring. And Hal's like, I made it. I forged it from my own willpower. He's like, the ring wasn't just given to me. I am the ring. And he comes super bright, he comes powerful. He's like, together, we detonated Warworld. We came back from the afterlife. We rescued gods. He's like pretty much just boasting about how him and the ring, we've done so much good. He's like, now we're gonna burn you out. He's just like, I'm gonna take you down, Dawnbreaker. And that's when Dawnbreaker then shows up again, and all these different villains, evil constructs show up. You see Parallax, and it says, fear always finds a place. And then you see Hector Heyman, I waited so long to be alone with you, Hal. And then you have the Orange Lantern, and he just says, mine, because he's all about greed. And you see Sinestro, I treat you better than this, Jordan. You see Atrocitus, your crimson will mingle in the blood lake of Ysmalt. Which is small, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's pretty much a lake of pretty much blood. But pretty much all these villains show up, and Hal's not even frightened. He's just like, okay then. He's like, who's first? And he's just like so confident in this situation. And his nose is bleeding, and he starts monologuing again. We don't actually see the fight, and he says, no, fear doesn't mean that you don't get afraid. He's like, you do get afraid at times. And we see this like page of pretty much Metropolis destroyed. You see Washington, D.C. destroyed. You see Central C destroyed. You see Amnesty Bay destroyed. And those are places like Superman, the military, Flash, Aquaman. You also see Detroit, which is a place in Cyborg, destroyed. You see then Challenger's Mountain, and you see like Gotham all destroyed. So pretty much all these places have been destroyed or like taken over by the evil Batman. And that's when you see Hal Jordan, after the fight, being dragged by Batman the Dawnbreaker. And he lost. He lost, guys. And that's bad. Like, that sucks. Like, he lost. He's doing so well. He's so confident, but he lost to the Dawnbreaker. And the Dawnbreaker's like, it's like I told you, the Green Lantern is Hal. The darkness always wins. The light never wins. And he's just dragging Hal along like this ground. And Hal pretty much said, he's like, every day that I face villains and it's my darkest times, I always say the oath. He's like, in brightest day and blackest night, we always push through. And it's like, but on those days when I know I may not come out of it, I always treat it like it's my last day on Earth. So pretty much, he's accepting the fact that he may die here. Like, Hal Jordan may die here. So that's a pretty big deal. But guys, we then shift, and the Dawnbreaker's like, don't worry though, you're not alone. My new teammates have defeated your wannabe family as well. And you see pretty much the Dawnbreaker dragging Green Lantern, you see Red Death pretty much dragging Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman being dragged, all the Justice League members are beat. Batman's in the Dark Multiverse, Superman's gone, they're all beat, they're pretty much being hooked up to the Cosmic Tomb Fork, and all these heroes pretty much are all losing. And you get this dope image right here that shows the Cosmic Tuning Fork and Green Lantern being like dragged by the Dawnbreaker. And what Barbados, or About Blast pretty much, what About Blast is doing is changing the vibrational frequency of all the people on this earth to then like pretty much compare to the Dark Multiverse's vibrational frequency, so it makes it easy for Barbados and all the Dark Multiverse forces to get through. That's what he's doing, guys, and it's so far working. But like, this is just another step in the plan. Like, they just beat all the Justice League members. It's a big deal. But then we shift to Batman Blast, pretty much talking, and you see Cyborg. He's hooked up to this thing, and he's in pain. He's trying to resist all like the plans of Batman Blast. He's like, oh, we'll get to you soon. And Murder Machine's like, he has to stop resisting. He's like, we're gonna get to him. We need that Element X. And what he's talking about is the Mother Box, pretty much that big like technology in Cyborg's chest, one of the most powerful technologies in the entire multiverse. And Batman Blast's like, he never knew this. He had this great power, he hasn't used it to full effect. He's like, once we pretty much get past like his resistance, Cyborg's resistance, we'll take this Element X and use it to destroy the multiverse. And Batman Blast is just laughing. He just laughs, Cyborg's in pain, and we don't know what he's going through. So that's how we close out the issue, guys. Pretty big deal, a good cliffhanger. Pretty much all is lost. But is it? Like, we'll see Cyborg pretty much the last man standing, trying to fight back against these evil Batman and save the Justice League. But guys, so the explain part of this video out of the way, let's get to my review of Bats of Hell, Part 3. So guys, this issue was really dope, alright? I liked it. I liked the idea of like the Batman Dawnbreaker versus Hal Jordan. Like, it was really cool with him using like the evil constructs of Parallax, Hector Heyman. Like, guys, I'm actually a big fan of Green Lantern. Like, not as big as Batman or Flash, but I still like the Green Lantern mythology. Like, the story that I got into, which I know probably a lot of people got into, was pretty much the Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War by Jeff Johns. One of the greatest DC Comics stories of all time. Really great. And it was a big event and stuff, and I got into that, and I love Sinestro, I love Green Lantern, and I really like John Stewart. John Stewart is awesome. And then also Kyle Rayner is cool, but in this issue you see all of them, alright? You see all Green Lanterns, and you see the Dawnbreaker pretty much taunting Hal about all these villains, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna beat you. But seeing Hal's confidence and how he's written by Robert Venditti is just so well. Like, Robert Venditti knows Hal as a character, knows all the Green Lanterns, and he does a great job here. Just like he did his Hal Jordan the Green Lantern Corps run. Like, that was a great Rebirth run. Like, I really enjoyed that. Like, the whole Dark Stars, the whole like Sinestro, like the first, like, I think it was Sinestro Corps part 1 through Sinestro Law. That was the storyline. It was a great storyline, and I totally recommend it, guys. But here you see that great writing, and Hal's written so well. He's like confident, he's like, bring it on, and you just see him, he's like, he's not gonna go back for anything. He's not just gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, take me. He's like, I'm gonna fight to my very last breath. And even the sequence where you see him turn into like a big football player and he punches Dawnbreaker, that was just so dope. It was badass, right? I really liked it. And the only like complaint I have about this issue though is when we got to the good part, the awesome part, when he was about to fight all those evil constructs, then just cut it away. Like, I was like, alright, he lost. I was like, what? Like, really? You could not give us more of that? Like, it was getting so awesome, all the build up, and finally all those villains, like the evil construct showed up, and he's like, alright, who's first? I'm like, oh, this is about to get good. But then we have a couple images of like all the cities destroyed, and then oh, he's beat, and the Justice League's all beat, all is lost, Cyborg should be used for something evil, they're gonna destroy the multiverse, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, I get that, pretty much what the storyline's been, but I wish we got the full fight, alright? Because the fight between Green Lantern and Dawnbreaker was cool, but it would be even more dope if you had Green Lantern versus Dawnbreaker and all these different villains. Like, as a Green Lantern fan, we went from like, oh, this issue was fine, like, it's pretty solid, even Ethan Van Sciver's art, pretty cool, to, man, this is awesome, like, some of the best Green Lantern issue in a while. Like, pretty much all the mythology in it, but no, we pretty much missed out on that, and that's my biggest complaint with this issue. But that doesn't hold the issue back. Like, the thing that really sells it is Ethan Van Sciver's art. Which, guys, he's one of the best Green Lantern artists, I think, because he's just really good at having, like, those blackouts. So, like, when, like, it turns totally dark, but then it comes back to light when Green Lantern shows up again, it just looks so cool. And just seeing him, like, draw Green Lantern, draw the Dawnbreaker, all the evil constructs, it just goes so well. Like, it flows with the story, and it makes me feel like Ethan Van Sciver was meant for this book. Like, you can't get no other artist to do this book than Ethan Van Sciver. But yeah, guys, pretty much this issue, like, the story was solid, but had the potential to be greater. But then the art really strives and helps, like, keep it out with the rest of the crossover. So overall, I'm gonna give this issue an 8.5 out of 10. I recommend it. Just, you guys probably have the same problem I did with it. Like, yeah, it was a really awesome issue. It was getting really good, but then we had to cut it off. Which I know, okay, it's supposed to be 20 pages. But still, could we at least not did like the whole 2 pages of showing all the destroyed different cities, and actually gives 2 pages of Green Lantern, or maybe just a page of him fighting out Sinestro, not actually Sinestro, but the evil construct, Parallax, all these different constructs. Like, that'd be dope. So guys, heading this issue to Justice League Lost, we have Cyborg here, and he's hooked up to this machine. He's just heard that Batman Alaska used his pretty much mother box to destroy the multiverse, and we're gonna find out what he's gonna do in this issue. But first, we got this dope cover right here, and it shows Cyborg fight off against the Murder Machine. Looks pretty cool. Shows Dark Knight's Metal tie-in. It's not my favorite cover of all the 4 covers. My favorite actually the Flash versus Red Death one. That one's pretty dope. But this one is still pretty cool. But guys, diving in, we first see pretty much these images of the different Justice League members. Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. And we see somebody pretty much narrating and monologuing who is the Batman who laughs. And he says, the first time that I joined the League, the Justice League, I was intimidated by all these gods. I was just a person in a bat costume. Yes, I have martial arts. Yes, I was skilled. But all these heroes, they have powers. Flash is the fastest man alive. Aquaman, he pretty much can like breathe underwater. He's the Atlantis king. We have Wonder Woman, who's the Amazon. We have Green Lantern, who has the power of will, the Green Lantern Corps. And then there's me, Batman, who just has some skill and is just only human. I don't have powers. And he's like, but as the adventures continued, I started noticing that these powers that they have are pretty much the same as pretty much a gun. I can pretty much dismantle them and learn their powers and beat them eventually. And he's like, and finally I realized that the Justice League are a cowardly lot. And he pretty much says that all these Justice Leagues, they're pretty much perceived as gods, they're pretty much powerful, but Batman's like, I can take him down easily. And this is the Batman last saying this, and he just laughs out loud. We see him above Cyborg. Cyborg's in pain. We have all the Justice League men being dragged by the evil Batman. It says, Bats Out of Hell, finale. And guys, next what we see what Cyborg's going through. He's trying to fight off the Murder Machine's pretty much dismantling him. He's going through all these nightmares. He's like, the evil Batman trying to expose me to all my failures, all my nightmares, so that I could give in and they could take the Element X / Mother Box from me and use it to destroy the multiverse. And he's like, I see all these different nightmares. We see, he's like, he compares it to watching a game, pretty much the relapse of a game after he's lost when he did football and stuff. So it's an interesting comparison, and he also sees nightmares of him fighting out the different Justice League, evil Justice League. And he's going through this, he's like, I would do anything to let this stop and me to beat these evil Batman. And that's when he hears a voice, and it says, ping ping, you are ready, Victor Stone. And we're like, who is this? And this is actually the Mother Box, and the Mother Box is speaking to Cyborg. And the Mother Box is like, you're very unique. And he's like, you pretty much, there's different people around the multiverse who get the Mother Box like you. And Cyborg's like, there's more of me? And the Mother Box is like, yes. And it's like, but they pretty much absorb the Mother Box's power and give up their self to pretty much serve the multiverse and become like a protector of the multiverse. And the Mother Box tells Cyborg, but you haven't done that. You're still in the original programming. You still have full control, but in order for us to beat this evil Batman and pretty much save the multiverse, you need to let the Mother Box take control of you. And Cyborg's like, should I actually do that though? And the Mother Box is like, yes, for the multiverse to survive, you need to do this. It's necessary. You're not necessary to the multiverse, but your programming is. And it's like, let me show you the stakes. And it shows an image, this double-page splash page that's pretty dope, pretty much drawn by Michael Janin, and it shows all these worlds, different Justice League, like evil Justice League, good Justice League, 52 universes, and it tells Cyborg that pretty much if you don't do this, all these universes get destroyed, it'll pretty much plunge into darkness, and we'll all lose. And Cyborg's like, oh, I can see it. And Mother Box is like, yes, this is your destiny. No more failure, only victory. And Cyborg's like, okay, I'll do it. But then you hear another voice, and this voice is like, Victor, no, you can't. We don't know who this is. And Cyborg's like, who's there? Mother Box, is that you? But it's not the Mother Box who's speaking, it's actually somebody else. And this person says, no, listen to me. pretty much the evil Batman are trying to show you your failures and show your nightmares to take this mother box from you. And the mother box is trying to say that you need to pretty much come one with it. But you don't need to do that. The mother box is not the thing that makes you special, Victor. It's you, it's your heart. Pretty much you strive to keep going. You're pretty much your compassion. And this person says that don't give in to the mother box. Stay you. You are Victor Stone. Keep going. And Cyborg's like, no, but I have to do this. And this person, this unknown person, we'll find out who it is later in the issue, is like, no, you can't do this. And Cyborg's like, ping. He just says ping, and it's like Victor, and the mother box starts taking control of him and taking him overall. Like he's pretty much going from original programming to ultimate programming. And guys, we go to the next page and we shift to pretty much the Justice League being dragged, and we see these like evil Alfreds that are under the murder machine, and they're like, follow me this way, sir, and they're pretty much just dragging the Justice League. And then Battle Last is like, are you set into the dark multiverse will be a bit bumpy. It's like, get ready guys, it's about to get good. But then the evil Alfreds pretty much lose control and their connection is interrupted. And the murder machine's like, what just happened? Battle Last is like, murder machine, what's happening? What's going on with your Alfred protocol? And the murder machine's like, I don't know, we lost connection. And that's when Battle Last is like, man, I knew we should have switched you out with the Batman Lex Luthor hybrid. I'm like, guys, this little like throwaway line is actually pretty cool. Like imagine a Batman Lex Luthor hybrid. You know how smart that would be? Like that'd be pretty dope. But guys, we go on next and you hear this voice from afar. He means you finally made a mistake. You all did. You always do with me. He says you won my Element X so you can show me my failures are on loop. Mother Box wanted to erase me so it could be the universe doesn't need me. You all tried to win by telling me I've already lost. And it says, I may be wires and metal on the outside, but deep down, I am Victor Stone. And you see Cyborg come out of nowhere. It's this big splash page. And he says, so now you gotta deal with Cyborg 1 million, baby. And you see the fire in the background. And it looks pretty dope, guys. Look at that. You see him come out of nowhere. He's all powerful. The Mother Box has pretty much consumed him. But yes, pretty much ultimate power. Because the Mother Box was forged by Apocalypse, Darkseid and stuff. So you can transport it to like pretty much anywhere in the universe. From that to actually you could be like ultimate power and destroy like evil Batman. And guys, we go to the next page and Cyborg says, I need my team. And you see the Justice League pretty much get released from like their captivities, pretty much like their chains. And they're all happy, they're ready to go. And the Murder Machine is like, Cyborg's just using his connection to Element X to draw power directly from the multiverse. He's like, crap, he's actually becoming powerful. And Battle Labs is like, so what? We ripped your body out before. Like, they actually, all the evil Batman ganged up on Cyborg when he was alone, pretty much destroyed him. And Battle Labs is like, we'll do it again. And that's when all these Justice League, they come together once again. You ambushed Cyborg when he was alone, just like you tried to do with us. But now, you have to deal with the entire Justice League. And Battle Labs is like, what is that music? And you hear this bumpy music, guys. You hear this huge music that's going on. It's getting the fight ready to go. And Cyborg's like, I'm blasting my theme song. He's like, through my speakers, I play it whenever I wanted to get the team pumped up when the ball was on the 1 yard line. And he says with a smile, hike. And you see all the Justice League go to attack the evil Battle. You get this double page splash page. You see pretty much Flash versus Red Death. They pretty much race each other. You see Green Lantern actually fighting off Batman the Drowned. It's actually some interesting fighting choices. You see Dawnbreaker attacking. You see Aquaman versus Batman the Merciless. You see Wonder Woman versus actually Batman Red Death, which is pretty cool actually. Then you see Cyborg versus Batman the Murder Machine. But in the corner, you see Batman Lash just laughing. He's like, you really think you guys can beat us? All of us on our own, all these different evil Batman on their own, can pretty much kill their Justice League. So with all of us combined, you guys can't beat us at all. And that's when we shift and we see Batman the Dawnbreaker going against Cyborg. And he's like, must be nice to have friends, Cyborg. And he's like, can we all play a game in the dark together? He's about to pretty much kill Cyborg with his evil like constructs. And Cyborg's like, pro tip, Dawnbreaker, having the right players in the field is great, but having a strong bench is key. And you see coming out of the portal, you got Dr. Fate, you got Mr. Terrific, you got Contra Saunders, aka Hawkgirl, you also have Deathstroke. They all come out to midfield and they go to attack. And Flash is like, Cyborg, man, you sure know how to make an entrance. And Dr. Fate's like, and now we must hasten our exit. We gotta go. And Cyborg's like, no, wait, I gotta go save the person who saved me. And we see Raven, guys. That was the person who was speaking to him when he was in the Mother Box earlier in this issue. And Raven's like, is it you? Is that you? It's like the Battle Last has been trying to use my dark energy for pretty much destroy everything. And Raven's like, tell me you didn't give in, Victor. Tell me you didn't give in to the Mother Box. And she's like, because if you did, we have no hope. And Cyborg's like, don't worry, I have ultimate power now, but I can still control myself. He's like, you're a lot stronger than you think, Raven, but let's get out here anyway. Because clearly you and I are stronger together. And you see Cyborg and Raven hug, pretty much a dynamic duo are back together, the Titans are back together. Like, yeah, we don't have Robin, but it's at least better than not having none of them. Like, seeing Cyborg and Raven back together is actually a key part in the storyline, and it's really cool. But guys, you see next, and Green Lantern Aquaman's like, okay, hugs are great, but we gotta get out of here. And Cyborg's like, yes, we need to go. And you see all the pretty much foreign and all these different evil Batmen are pretty much ghosts of a dying world because their worlds are gone. And it's like Barbados promised them after all this thing, if they pretty much served him, their worlds would come back to life. And it's like Barbados wanted to separate us, but instead brought us closer together. And he's like, and now I can use the multiverse to connect us in new ways. And then he says, and I'm going to show you why these Batman chose to become monsters. It's not Batman's greatest nightmares, it's his regrets. And you see pretty much different origins of the evil Batman. Like Batman Red Death, pretty much he used Flash to kill Flash. Well, no, he pretty much collided with Flash to get the Speed Force. Then we see Batman Murder Machine became who he is because Alfred died. Then we have pretty much Batman, the Dawnbreaker, lost his parents, took the ring from the Green Lantern Corps and killed different people. Then we have Batman, who last, pretty much killed the Joker, and that caused him to become evil. And it shows more like a Devastator killed Superman. We have Wonder Woman died, so that caused Batman to come back in the Merciless. The different Atlantis was taking over, killing a bunch of people, and Batman, the Drowned, was actually a female, and her love of her life, Sylvester, died, and that caused her to become evil. And all these different evil Batman pretty much lost their worlds because of what they did. So they're joining in with Barbados to pretty much take back what was theirs. And you see Green Lantern, and he's all like, okay, we gotta get out of here. And Cyborg's like, the Dark Knights are still Bruce, and Bruce can be defeated. And he's like, Barbados promised your worlds back, but we can help you guys. He's like, the Batman I know is smart enough to know it's impossible to bring back what you lost. And he's pretty much trying to tell these evil Batman, he's like, we can help you, but you gotta admit that you can't take back what you lost. And Green Lantern just says, Batman, you need a dentist. And you see Batman last come out, and he's just laughing. He's like, you tell him that Justice League wouldn't save your world if you had the chance. He's like, okay, it's time for our master to give the sales pitch. And that's when the evil Batman pretty much stepped back, and Barbados comes out from his left field, and he says, all roads lead to darkness. He looks huge, guys. And Cyborg's like, okay, it's time for us to leave. And he pretty much just like teleports them out of there, and Barbados talks about him last. He's like, you told me you planned for every scenario. He's like, Cyborg's transformation brings an unknown into this playing field. And Batman Last's like, the Justice League, they'll be back. We have the Suicide Squad, we have Task Force X, we have the Teen Titans, they'll be back to save their friends. So we just have to wait. And that's when we see all these different heroes, the Justice League, Raven, Miss Terrific, Deathstroke, Dr. Fate, Contra Saunders. They pretty much get teleported into the Hyper Time. And guys, Hyper Time looks pretty cool. You see images of All-Star Superman. You see images of Futures End with Batman Beyond. You see like the future Justice League. You see Flashpoint. All these different events in DC history. And Cyborg tells Raven, he's like, don't worry, Raven. I am who I am still. I just have full control. I have some control. The Mother Box is taking over me. And Raven's like, it's okay. We have to do this to pretty much fight off against Barbados. And we see Green Lantern. It's like, hey, Vic. You alright? You sure? Pretty much had all these different wannabe Batman spooked. And one was like, okay, we gotta think wisely because time is at the essence. Like, before we know it, these evil Batman will be back to attack us. So we gotta figure out what to do. And Cyborg's like, hang on, Wonder Woman. He's like, before I became a Cyborg, I loved football. I was always a team player, but now I feel like I need to be a coach. And he said, and he's like, what we'll do is Raven, Flash, you come with me. He's like, we're gonna go pretty much hack the multiverse, stop this whole thing. And he's like, all you guys, Wonder Woman, Contra Saunders, Dr. Fate, you guys go back to the Rock of Eternity, what you were doing before this whole like mess happened. Then we have Aquaman, Deathstroke, you guys go to Atlantis, get Nymphmel, Green Lantern, Miss Terrific, and the Plastic Egg, you guys go to Vanguard Prime. We all have to find this Nymphmel because that's the only thing that'll stop Barbados. If we don't find this Nymphmel, we're gonna totally lose. We saw by this whole like mess, this whole crossover that just happened. And they pretty much walk through the portal, and then we see Barbados and Batman Laughs there, and we see Green Lantern, all these different heroes going on the missions once again to get Nymphmel. And Batman Laughs like, man, they don't even know it. They're running into a trap. And that's how we end it, and it leads directly into Dark Knight's Metal number 4, and ends this crossover on epic note. But guys, for the explain part of this video out of the way, let's get to my review of Battle of Hell Part 4. So guys, this issue was pretty cool. The art by Tyler Kirkman was really good. Cyborg was the best part, honestly. See him like come out, get full control of the Mother Box, become super powerful, and just pretty much go against these evil Batmans, and the Justice League finally start to gain ground was really awesome. I like that, and I just like the tone of just at the beginning of them all failing, and then them actually getting success by the end. Like, that's a very good tone shift throughout the issue. And then the whole like bond between Raven and Cyborg, that was really strong. And then obviously the big fight between the evil Batman and the Justice League, though it was short, was really awesome. Like, that double page splash page by Tyler Kirkman was awesome. Like, that was cool, guys. And guys, the writing was good. Like, each of the characters were written so well. The Mother Box thing, putting that into this was really cool. And then just the end was pretty cool. It just got everything back into motion for Dark Knight's number 4. Now, the problem I have with this crossover, though, is pretty much a detour. All it is. Like, you could actually skip over Battle of Hell, go to Dark Knight's Metal number 4, you would not miss anything. Like, maybe some context on where Cyborg, Flash, and Raven went, but then you actually see that in Dark Knight's Rise and the Wild Hunt when that issue comes out. So this isn't really the biggest crossover that's really essential, but it's more because it's epic and it's cool to see the Justice League versus evil Batman, and to dive more into Cyborg's character. So if you want more of that, like more context to this whole like Dark Knight's Metal storyline, then yeah, read Battle of Hell. But if you don't have time to read this and you skip over and go directly to Dark Knight's Metal number 4, it's fine because it's not super essential. But I still recommend it because the art has been awesome through this crossover, the writing's been good, seeing the Justice League versus evil Batman is just epic, it's really cool, and this last issue of this crossover ended on a pretty good note. So overall, I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10. Solid end, so it's good crossover tie to Dark Knight's Metal. Alright guys, that's pretty much the video. If you liked it, give a big thumbs up, new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my next DC Comics storyline that I'll be going over pretty much tomorrow, so stay tuned. Alright guys, that's the video, and peace out.